I thank you for being so real and touching me. Letting me see what a beautiful world this world is. I thank you for all that is real, for changing me, opening my time-blinded eyes to see the glorious possibilities. I pray for strength to keep seeing just like this. I can say yes and move out the way. Say to your neighbor, I can say yes and move out the way.
I can say yes and move out the way.
Give my God its full sway.
Give my God its full sway.
Yes. God is always going to be real. God is always going to be changing us. It's the nature of God, because God itself is ever evolving, ever expanding, and we are the means by which God gets around. We're the instrument of the divine. This month we've been on a journey of wholeness. What is wholeness anyway? Completeness, totality, unity, fullness, comprehensive. We've been involved in spiritual study. We've expressed ourselves creatively with an open mic night. We've been in communion with one another at the picnic and at all of our events. We've explored our bodies and our health at the health fair and through the classes that we've had with Tom Masbaum, and with this whole process of exploring this divine idea of wholeness. We've tapped into intuition and even the muscles of our body. You know, there's something that has been happening at the spiritual, soul, and body levels, and they've all been responding to our attention to them. These three different dimensions of our beingness have got our attention, and in turn, everything must shift. So when you get up to talk about tell me something good, it's not by accident. It's because you planted that seed in your consciousness, and the same seed of the thing that you planted must fulfill itself, must reveal itself, must express itself in a manner that is in sync with that which we have nourished and nurtured by giving it our attention. That's what happens when we live in a holy, W-H-O-L-L-Y, holy, H-O-L-Y way. You see, there's really no difference between the wholeness, the completeness, the totality, and that which we call holy. Because it is, frankly, the very essence of God that we are talking about. And anytime we are aware of this essence within us, that is when we are expressing our holiness. So, exalted or worthy of one perfect in goodness and righteousness. That's what holy means. That's the definition. That's you. Holy. That's me. Holy. And we're sanctified. Not exactly your idea of what sanctified is, huh? The people you were with before in those traditional churches may not have told you that you were sanctified. They may have wasted your time telling you that you were a sinner and not a center for God. Nobody needs to tell us when we mess up. We know it. We may not admit it or even acknowledge it out loud, but we know. Huh? And the only reason other people say it to us is so that we remember that we made a mistake. Now, I don't know about the God of your understanding, but the God of my understanding is not punishing me when this happens. But see, people always like to say, well, you're punished for your sins, and you're not. Sin just is an archery term that means missing the mark. You're punished by your sins. So there's nothing external that needs to punish you. When something happens, you immediately feel the ramifications of that. the consequences of our actions, as it were, because of this law of cause and effect. It just simply is, and there's nothing we can do to change it except create a new cause. So let's get off the cross and move into the resurrection, shall we? We don't have to talk about, well, you know, I could have done better and I didn't do better. You just now know this is not the right direction. It's time to move in a different direction. That's when you can get off the cross and stop beating up on yourself for something that you could have, should have, would have did. And just simply know that, okay, this is information. This is for my growth, development, and unfoldment. This is a way for me to expand my awareness. This is my awakening process. And so, in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, Paul says, and the very God of peace sanctify you wholly, and I pray, God, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Y'all need to understand something about sanctify. To sanctify means to bless, to consecrate, to purify, to approve, to dedicate. Holy means completely, entirely, totally, all together. Preserved means conserved, well looked after, maintained, well preserved, well kept. Blameless means innocent, virtuous, righteous, faultless, guiltless, trustworthy, reliable, dependable, conscientious, thorough, clean. How could you possibly see yourself as one with God when you're still thinking of yourself as sinful and untrustworthy? And yet, every time we see ourselves that way, this is how we are seeing God. Because our relationship with ourselves is our relationship with God. We are it. So if you see yourself, if you see God as dishonorable and tarnished, you can't trust God. You see yourself as dishonorable, as tarnished, then this is what you think about the presence of God. Because this is all that there is. We are it. So if you can't trust God, you can't trust anything or anyone. You can't trust your significant other. You can't trust your politician. You can't trust your grocer. You can't trust your kids. And if you can't trust, then you can't believe. And if you can't believe, you have no desire. And if you have no desire, you have no faith. And if you have no faith, you have nothing. And if you have nothing, you are nothing. And what a wonderful way to begin, as no thing. Then every time you get something, a thought, a smile, you get to be grateful. Oh, wow! Feeling that smile, you get to know that there's something or someone that appreciates you. You know how it feels when somebody smiles at you? And that makes you feel grateful. I have a thought. I think, therefore I am. Great philosopher said. Now, I am is totally connected with everything because I am is the presence. And wow, the presence thought so much of the idea of me that it brought me into form. And you say, I'm grateful for my life. Say it.
I'm grateful for my life.
I am grateful for my blessings.
I'm grateful for my blessings.
And say it to your neighbor. I'm grateful for my blessings.
I'm grateful for my blessings.
And before you get to the point where you start to brag to your neighbor about the stuff that you have, remember what brought you to that no thing place in the first place. You didn't believe. But now in this moment, you do believe. Now you get to say to your neighbor, I am grateful for my challenges that strengthen me.
I'm grateful for my challenges that strengthen me.
Don't wait to be grateful. You're sanctified, child. You are blessed, consecrated, purified, approved, and dedicated. When you're blessed, you're held in reverence. God holds you in reverence. God is saying, holy, holy, look at you. God is saying, in my almightiness, I made you. Wow. Blessed means to enjoy happiness, enjoying the bliss of heaven. Heaven is happening when you are in your joy. When you know your connection to your source, you are in heaven. You don't have to be stressed out about getting to a destination that you call heaven. You can simply get there by being. That's the beauty of the Buddha nature. You're awakening to who you are. You know, I'm not talking about Siddhartha Gautama. I'm talking about the awakening. When Sue was singing about opening my time-blinded eyes, that's what she was singing about. You don't have to wonder about when you're going to heaven. Be here now. When you are pleased, content, or feeling fortune, you're blessed. When you are in hell, you can't be pleased, content, or feel fortunate because you're focused on what you are not pleased with, what you are not content with, and what fortune you do not have. Why would you want to go to hell when you can go to heaven? Ain't that what the people tried to tell you in the other places? And you thought it was all about being a good girl, good behavior, good boy. You don't have to stress about being good anymore. I'm telling you, you are good. You are good. Look to your neighbor and say, you are good.
You are good.
You are whole, perfect, and complete.
And complete.
Say to your neighbor, you are whole, perfect, and complete.
You are whole, perfect, and complete.
Say, I know it.
I know it.
Otherwise, you believe in a half-assed God. Yeah, the preacher said half-assed God. I don't believe in a half-assed God. The news commentators may try to convince you that there's a half-assed God, but I don't believe it. The internet may try to convince you, but I don't believe it. My God believes that Marissa Alexander can get a new trial. The woman who shot into the ceiling to stop her abusive husband who had abused 4 other women. To tell him to stop. 20 years conviction, overturned, got a new trial. My God is justice. My God believes in possibilities. My God is a possibility thinker. That's what makes me a possibility thinker. My God did not take a coffee break when it was making me and then go off to play golf. My God finished me perfectly. My God says, I'm going to keep at making this Celeste until she is perfect. I must complete this job. This being is important to me. And God did the same thing for each one of you. She is going to have a good life, God said. She is going to give me a good time by her living. Wouldn't that inspire you to make something good? If they were going to make you have a good time because they are being? Stop seeing yourself as guilty, sinful, and dishonored. That's not how your Creator sees you. It knows every nappy hair, every pimple, every limp, and every germ about you, and still loves you madly. Your journey includes the nappy, the acne, and the influenza. My journey includes the kinks and the impure moments, the moments when I am influenced by the germs of misusing the law that are floating around the universe. Every thought that has ever been thought has been floating around the universe. And you know, sometimes we latch on to those crazy thoughts. You know, oh well, you know, this Obamacare is not good. You know, we may latch on to that thought. Oh, you know, everybody's killing each other in Chicago. We may latch on to that thought. Those are germs. And anytime you believe in anything other than good, you're misusing the law. Because the law is going to be responsive to your thoughts. And your thoughts that you have an emotion around, those are like beliefs. And the law really responds quickly to beliefs. See, I don't know about you, but I was standing out there with my sisters at the Daily Center this week. We were standing at City Hall. And see, we were standing at the basketball court in Inglewood before that, and we were standing at Christ Advocate Hospital before that, and somehow, some way, all of a sudden, these young men get found. See, I'm just saying, when I turn to the Father, it turns to me. All I'm saying is that we are in this together. 1 Thessalonians said, the very God of peace sanctify you wholly. God blessed you completely. And that was Paul's first letter. He wanted to keep the people encouraged so that they waited for the return of the Christ. He didn't realize at the time that it wasn't the man Jesus to be expected, but the man or woman that they were evolving to be. The return of the Christ is the return of knowing your oneness with God. That's just because you forget. That's why you have to be grateful every time you remember who you are. That's why we have places like this so you can come and remember who you are. Because sometime in the middle of the week you forget. Huh? Y'all already talked about it. It's already happened in your lives. You got to be conscientious about that. You got to be diligent about that. You got to be diligent about remembering who you are. You are the beloved in whom God is well pleased. He wasn't just talking about Jesus. He was saying it to all humans. You're the awakened one who celebrates your life as the presence of God made manifest. Your Christhood depends on this knowing. Paul said, I pray, God, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Lord means law. Your whole spirit and soul and body be well kept. That's the prayer. That's what this month has been about. Say, I'm well kept and well treated.
I'm well kept and well treated.
Stop talking about how others treat you. Treat yourself like you're a special twinkle in God's eye. Treat yourself like you are a God. Jesus said it, know ye not that ye are gods? Stop simply believing in Jesus and believe him. Believe what he said. You know, all these people are Jesus, but they don't act like they know what Jesus was talking about. You see, if you knew better, you would have done better. If you knew better, you would have known darn well that you did not want to feel the way you felt after you did it. You know the way you felt after you did it. I got myself in debt. That's my way of punishing myself. That's what debt is punishing yourself. Stop punishing yourself. I didn't know I would feel this way. I was innocent. Say it again. I am innocent, virtuous, guiltless, and honorable. I am innocent, virtuous, guiltless, and honorable. Feel that.
Say it again.
I am innocent. Virtuous, guiltless, and honorable. So to say I am guiltless, just, you know, guilt is a useless emotion. It really is. I mean, it has no productivity to it at all, other than the fact that it destroys things. I have no knowledge of evil. That's what the fall of Eden was about. Once Adam and Eve had eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they were toast. Because to know something is to be it. If I knew evil, everything in my world would be evil. But everything in my world is not evil. I may know something about evil. I may know about the man that came up in church and shot the preacher in the middle of a sermon. But I don't know evil. If I knew evil, I would be the one shooting the preacher, or shooting up a naval yard, or shooting up a 3-year-old on a basketball court, and I wouldn't stop. So I don't know evil. I may know about it, but I don't know it. I'm guiltless. I'm honorable. I deserve honor. I'm illustrious. I am notably and brilliantly outstanding because of what I have done. You are too. Jesus the Christ said, know me by my works. The way shower said, know me by what I do. And he said, others will know you by what you do as well. By this shall all people know that you are my disciples if you have love one to another. I'm going to tell y'all the story of the rabbi. I think about the Oneness Spiritual Center when I think about this story. It's called the Rabbis Gift. So the story concerns a monastery that had fallen upon hard times. Once a great order as a result of waves of anti-monastic persecution in the 17th and 18th centuries and the rise of secularism in the 19th, all its branch houses were lost and it had become decimated to the extent that there were only 5 monks left in the decaying mother house. The abbot and 4 others, all over 70 in age. Clearly it was a dying order. In the deep woods surrounding the monastery, there was a little hut that a rabbi from a nearby town occasionally used for hermitage. Through their many years of prayer and contemplation, the old monks had become a bit psychic, so they could always sense when the rabbi was in his hermitage. The rabbi's in the woods, they would say, the rabbi's in the woods again. They would whisper to each other, and they agonize over the imminent death of this order. It occurred to the abbot at one such time to visit the hermitage and to ask the rabbi for a piece of advice that might save his monastery. And the rabbi welcomed the abbot into his hut. But when the abbot explained the purpose of his visit, the rabbi could only commiserate with him. I know how it is, he explained. The spirit is gone out of the people. It's the same in my town. Almost no one comes to the synagogue anymore. So the old abbot and the old rabbi wept together. Then they read parts of the Torah and quietly spoke of deep things. And the time came when the abbot had to go back to the monastery and they embraced each other. It's been a wonderful thing that we should meet after all these years, he said. But I have still failed in my purpose for coming here. Is there nothing you can tell me? No piece of advice you can give me that will help save my dying order? No, I'm sorry, the rabbi said. I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is the Messiah is one of you. When the abbot returned to the monastery, his fellow monks gathered around him and asked, well, what did the rabbi say? He couldn't help, the abbot answered. We just wept and read the Torah together. The only thing he did say, just as I was leaving, it was something cryptic, was that the Messiah is one of us. I don't know what he meant. In the days and the weeks and months that followed, the old monks pondered this and they wondered whether there was any possible significance to the rabbi's words. The Messiah is one of us? Could he possibly have meant one of us monks here at the monastery? If that's the case, which one? Do you suppose he means the abbot? Yes, if he meant anyone, he probably meant Father Abbot. He's been our leader for more than a generation. On the other hand, he might have meant Brother Thomas. Certainly Brother Thomas is a holy man. Everyone knows that Thomas is a man of light. Well, certainly he could not have been Brother Elred. Elred gets crotchety at times. Come to think of it, even though he is a thorn in people's sides, when you look back on it, Elred is virtually always right. Often very right. Maybe the rabbi did mean Brother Elred, but surely not Brother Philip. Philip is so passive, a real nobody. But then, almost mysteriously, he has a gift for somehow always being there when you need him. He just magically appears by your side. Maybe Philip is the Messiah. Of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. He couldn't have possibly meant me. I'm just an ordinary person. Just supposing he did. Suppose I am the Messiah. Oh God, not me. I couldn't be that much for you, could I? As he contemplated in this manner, the old monks began to treat each other with extraordinary respect, on the off chance that one among them might be the Messiah. And then the off chance that each monk himself might be the Messiah, they began to treat themselves with extraordinary respect. Because the forest that they were situated in was so beautiful, it so happened that the people still occasionally came to visit the monastery, to picnic on its tiny lawn, to wander along some of its paths, and even now and then go into the dilapidated chapel to meditate. As they did so, without even being conscious of it, they sensed the aura of extraordinary respect that now began to surround the 5 monks and to radiate out from them and permeate the atmosphere of the place. And there was something strangely attractive, even compelling about it. Well, hardly knowing why, they began to come back to the monastery more frequently, and to picnic, to play, and to pray. They began to bring their friends to show them this special place. And their friends brought their friends. And then it happened that some of the younger men who came to visit the monastery started to talk more and more with the old monks, and after a while, one asked if he could join them, and then another, and then another. And so within a few years, the monastery had once again become a thriving order, and thanks to the Rabbis Gift, a vibrant center of light and spirituality in the realm. It's from Dr. M. Scott Peck, MD. And so when I was meditating and journaling this week, I started thinking, what if life is not about stuff and the appearance of wealth? What if health is really about honoring ourselves? What if success is really about taking care of ourselves? What if judgment and guilt are not real, but distractions that only keep us separate from our true prosperity? What if cars and roofs and cable service and capped teeth and credit ratings and big houses and small lips are just wasteful uses of energy? And what if private airplanes and iPhones and fancy purpose keep us from knowing our authentic self? And what if what really matters is self-love and compassion? And what if cultivating that really did stop murders and lessen people's obsession with guns and money and gadgets and BMI? What if everything that appeared to be real isn't? What if we didn't need a near-death experience to wake up to truth? I invite you to know that you are whole. Know that you are complete. Know that you are perfect just as you are. I invite you to remember who you are. You are sanctified. You are set apart to a sacred purpose. You are blessed. You are consecrated to be used in service to love. You are purified. You are becoming clean, no longer seeing yourself as contaminated. You are approved. You are pre-approved. Say to your neighbor, you are pre-approved.
You are pre-approved.
And unconditionally approved.
Unconditionally approved.
Feel it. Accept it. Live like it. Namaste.
Namaste.